That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm curious if she actually provided the voice. All right, we got one more. It's about Eric July releasing a digital version. It's a 6-minute video. How? I shouldn't say how, because we can take a 6-minute video and turn it into a 4-hour live stream. So I understand how, but it's really weird that he would do 6 minutes. On a simple. Are you gonna have a digital? No.
Did you watch this at all?
No, I have not.
So I watched it to possibly name it, which I'm actually I'm in the mine is in the descriptor, but it's a spoiler. So get ready for the biggest hibbity jibbity that's ever been said.
Get ready for the most hibbity that he'd ever jibbitied in his life.
The squirreliest words.
All of them squirrel words coming out today. All right.
Wait on that. Ryan with a 2 says, will digital releases ever be a thing? I'm gonna be honest with you. Perhaps. It's just not gonna be something that we rely on. There's not a lot of money in digital comics, guys. I know that there are those who want that, but there's just no data that suggests that it's a very lucrative field. And I think that's because of the nature of the business and comic books having for so long been a specialty physical item. So it never went the route of video games, like an example. Video games almost
you can feel it, can't you?
Already, I just want to. He's like, you see, the reason why we ain't going digital is because the comic book industry has never gone digital before. Like video games, they've gone digital. Yeah, but Eric, at one point, video games weren't digital. Then they made the switch, right? You are in. This is the transitional period. We're making the switch from physical to digital. And let me let you in on a secret, Eric. Your fans like you. They're not buying the comic because they want to collect comics. They're buying the comic because Eric July is putting out. If you put out a digital, they will pay you money for the digital. They won't pirate it. They won't steal it. They'll pay you for it. They're that loyal. The pay pigs are that loyal. And you could really test this. Here's how you can test this, Eric. You have Salvage. Take out the 13 pages of Salvage. Offer it as a digital for like $3, right? Like $3, you get the 13 pages of Salvage digitally, right? That's it. Not the rest of the Ripazine, just the Salvage comic. $3 digital. It'll cost you nothing, right? Literally. You don't have to print nothing. The pages are already paid for. The art's already paid for. Everything's paid for. You offer it for $3. I guarantee you will make a nice chunk of change that you didn't have before this. Because your fans will go, here's $3, Eric. I'm supporting you, and I have a digital copy of Salvage, right?
Exclusively went digital. Yes, there's physical.
And also, video games have not exclusively gone digital.
You got physical copies
like
right now.
PC gaming, like there's no more going to the store to go grab them shits. Everybody's on Steam. Oddly enough, comic books never suffered the same fate. Why that is, it's interesting. Obviously, everybody has their ideas, but they tried, like with Comixology, and you saw that kind of collapse that happened with that. Like, it's just not really a lucrative market.
The reason that comic books have not gone completely digital, very simple, because the comic book industry relies on what? Secondary market. The secondary market is a huge factor in the comic book industry, right? That's why Eric July's comics sold so well, because people wanted those first issues. They wanted to get into that secondary market. Video games, while older video games have a secondary market, right? Newer video games were not having that same secondary market, because we're in the age now of, the bigger runs, right? Old comics are worth money because of their rarity. New comics aren't worth as much because they're not as rare, right? Same thing with video games. Video games became such a massive market that it was no longer like, oh, we're only making 10,000 copies because we don't know how many. No, like, here's 10 million copies of Final Fantasy, right?
It's just not. And for those that are usually doing it, they doing it because they're trying to.
That's another good point, Grumpy. Digital comics don't sell ads.
Sell other things, right? And look, bigger companies are going to always do it because it makes sense for them because they don't rely necessarily on that individual sale to make money. If you are independent, I say this all the time. You guys hear me say this all the time. When you are independent, you cannot afford to have a loss leader. So some massive manga company or some massive comic book company can sure do shit in which they could have a loss, but they're going to be making money.
Okay, that makes no sense. Why would digital be a loss, Eric? It literally costs less for you to produce because it's not a physical item. You don't have to ship it. You don't have to warehouse it. You don't have to pay for it to be produced, right? Other than, the art was already going to be paid for even if it's physical or digital, right? So you're incurring less overhead in a digital market. The risk you take is the pirating. Just say that, right? Be like, hey, I'm afraid that if we release it digitally, it's going to be pirated. No one's going to buy the thing.
Like, it gets pirated anyway. Like,
yeah. And also, he's using loss leader wrong. A loss leader isn't something that loses money. That's not what a loss leader is. That's part of it, right? Like, PS5 is a loss leader, right? Because getting you to buy the PS5 now locks you into the ecosystem, so you have to buy the games for it, and that's where they make the money, right? You're going to buy one system, but you're going to buy hundreds of games. That's the idea, right? Or I think the average is like 22 at this point games, right? So that's where they're going to make their money on you. That's why they can lose. They lose $200 on the PS5, but then they make way more than that in all the sales of software, right? Marvel losing money on a comic book, that doesn't get you to buy anything else. That's not how that works, right? There's no attachments to the comic. There's no accessories to go with it. You're not buying a special controller to read your comics.
Money elsewhere, right? They're making far more money in merchandise. They're making more money in TV deals. And
Sketchbook says all he has to do is release digital after he exhausts the first print FOMO. Then it will be generating money with now work.
No work.
With no work for years. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when he puts out ISOM 2, put out the ISOM 1 digital, right? He puts out ISOM 3, put out the ISOM 2 digital. But he wants to just milk you for every single penny.
And whatever the fuck else. When you're an independent, you can't afford to do that. So I can't afford to spend a lot of money on a 20-minute episode of a comic book adaptation. And
what are you talking about? Spend money on a 20-minute comic book? That has nothing to do with digital.
Like I said, hibbity jibbity.
No one tells you to does he think that every comic book that he puts out now requires some animated trailer in order to sell it? And now he's like, I put out a digital, you see, I'm not gonna be able to make the money back that the trailer costs. Is it the trailer cost that much? Stop putting out trailers. With the amount of people, if anyone could actually make money digitally, it is Eric July. Eric July not having a digital is the biggest blunder, because the rest of us, the rest of the comic book independent scene, has to rely on the markup on a physical good, right? In order to make money, it's going to cost me thousands of dollars to make a comic, so I have to make up for it. And the fact that I don't have 10,000 people baked in to buy it, right? So now I go, maybe I'm going to get 100, 200 people. Now I have to calculate, 200 people in order to break even, right? And I'm like, shit, I need some tchotchkes. I need to. So that's why I can't afford, or Rich, though Rich didn't get a deal. Other people can't afford to go digital, right? Because shit, it's cost so much money to make that I cannot afford it. But you have you had 40,000 in your first, 20,000 in the second. You have like 10,000 people that will buy it. That's baked in. 10,000 people. Again, it shouldn't cost you $50,000 to make a comic. You should be knocking these out. And again, Eric, why in the Jesus? Do you know how easy it would be for you to put out a digital only Adventures in the Rippaverse? You could put a Adventures in the Rippaverse comic where it's like a simple 30-page comic that you put out every week, right? You can knock this shit out. Bam, bam. You got them Brazilians working overtime every week. You're putting out a comic for like $3 digitally. It's going to cost you no overhead. It's going to cost you maybe a couple $1,000 to get it made. You got 10,000 sales for $3. That's 30,000. You're going to make like $20,000, $25,000 every week, just printing money on this one digital comic that you could make.
In like an animated sense, as a loss leader, I can't afford to do that. No independent can afford to do that. They just simply can't. They're going to put out a comic book and they have to make money off the comic book. So definitely if they want to sustain themselves, let alone grow, it's just not comics just never went that route. And this is why, even though digital things have grown, if you look at like when definitely in the recent years when Comic-Con used to do their like makeup sales, like, hey, X amount would make up of the digital sales, make up all the comic book sales. And it was always, I don't want to say statistically insignificant, but it was very minor. Physical copies dominate this market. Dominated. So
yeah, physical dominates. Again, not every comic was available digitally. That was number one. Number two, you had to have an app to get them. It wasn't just go to Marvel, hit a button, and you bought the comic. You had to get the app. You had to download it. Some people didn't like the way the app worked. Some people didn't like the way the app looked, right? But if you do it like Rich, you just here's your PDF. Boom, read your comic, right?
Maybe there's an appropriate time to where we like, hey, this is a specialty comic. It doesn't even have a physical copy, right? And we just want to put it out. Perhaps, maybe. I'm not going to say I'd never do that, but I'm just looking at it from the perspective of the business. It's just not really that lucrative, bro.
Yeah, that lucrative. He knows, like, I can get $1 million if I just put a physical out. Or I can get a couple thousand if I put it digital. See, why would I put digital? Why would I care about the customers getting a product fast, on time, and every week, right? Dude.
Hello, I like money.
Again, I don't understand. Like, if this was about like competing with Marvel, or you have the money. If you gave me $3 million right now, said, here's $3 million, Tony, I would be pumping shit out digitally so much. There'd be so many comics out there. Just ding, 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 ding. And again, as a independent with a small, he's got, like I said, he's got 10,000 people that are going to buy that shit. The Sturgis would never. Sturgis, LG, Hell the Lord, Student of God, Ginger Wolverine, and all the other Rippatards, they would never. If I even took them to the website, was like, here you go, here's where the free copy is, they would still pay the Eric July money, right? They would report that shit and they'd be like, no, I don't want it free. I want to pay Eric money, right? So the idea that he would lose money is ridiculous and insane. Forrest says, I made 400 in digital sales alone. Yeah. That's me, a little creator. So I'm saying it's good business. He should be able to put out boom, 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 like a bunch of comics. And again, he doesn't even have to put out like huge 100 page things. He could put out small, supplementals, the Dakuman cards. Could you imagine? Here's the Dakuman cards. Give me $5 and you get the digital versions of them.
I guess, like I said, if the NFT market was still around when he launched, when he would be in this point, he'd be having Rippa NFTs. Dakuman NFTs. It'd be like the Dakuman cards where they move.
George is probably pulling his blue fur out. Like, Eric, you're giving away. There's so much money you can be making. You know how much product you have?
Package up anything, sell it.
Yeah. You could pay. You would have like a manga version, physical, oversized coloring book.
Though, are there people that want it? Yes, definitely. Those of you guys that are international, there's going to be a far more demand for those. But even then, it's just, is it worth it to invest that money in that?
Invest what money? Eric, it's a PD. Does he not know? Does he think that it's an app?
Yeah, I think because he had talked about it before that he wanted to make the app, and it was the idea that the digital comics would be in the app. So I think now he's like, well, I can't do digital because then I can't put it in the app because that app costs a lot of money. And be like, all you gotta do is just have it on the website. Just you bought it, download PDF.
He doesn't want it because he thinks that if you download a PDF, that it's going to go on the internet. And everyone's going. That's it. It's going to ruin his business because everyone's going to read the comic, right? If you were confident, A, you wouldn't have to worry about that. B, like I said, the Rippatards are buying it anyway.
Want to be?
He wants that app to lock it to the app. Like you can't take it off the app. It's on the app.
Want to make it really members crazy. Only. I say, want to be really crazy is you make the ability to buy the digital comics, make the ability to buy like multiple, so that would do like it would stack the PDF. So Rippatards could just be like, I'm gonna buy 10 at like $5, right, or something like that, and then just it's like downloads 5. It gives you 10 copies all at once for no reason.
Watermark the shit. I would make it just say, hey, you have to pay $50 a month to be a member to have access, and get rid of the download option. Like, sure, people can still like print the screen or whatever, right? Take a screenshot, but like no download. It's just on the website. You access, you hit the button, and it just brings up the built-in PDF. It's not that hard to do. Again, the Rippatards are not. What's that?
You get half the book. If you pay for the digital copy, you get half of it, and that's it. Cuts off at a certain point. You buy the physical for the rest of it.
You can even do that, like sell previews, right? We'll give you the first like 5 pages for $1.
We got to buy the Ripazine for that.
They put you on a timer. Like you could start reading the thing, like the timer every second's a penny.
Put the Ripazine out digital. Put the Ripazine out digital. Like not even salvage on its own, but the whole thing. Like
Sketchbook says, so he's worried that more people will critique the book because of digital. That's probably what it is. Like drive-through comics let you buy multiple copies. Yeah, it's true.
Like the Ripazine is crap, so like give that out for free and no one will care, and then they'll just buy that. And you probably sell more Ripazines that way too, especially because it's already.
I'm surprised he hasn't done this. This is actually another good idea that Eric July is sleeping on. He's going to do a subscription service so he can milk that monthly subscription without putting out books where it's a monthly thing. Eric July should be able to, at this point, like when he goes like one comic a month, he should be able to go, look, all the comics cost. He went $18 on this one, right? But we'll say $25 is like the average, right? 25 times 12 is $300, right? You give me $250. Right, one time, yearly subscription all at once. And then every month the comic comes out, we send it to you. We have you on file, boom, boom, you get your comic. So you're getting $50 off, but you're giving us all at once, right?
Yeah, like
people who pirate are going to pirate it, yeah.
Like I said it about when he was talking about the app is like that because I thought he was going to do digital things on his app for like, and it would be a members only app or whatever, and you could do all that. But and then the forums are going to be members only too for sure. But yeah,
Wizard Cat, who spelled Occam's razor wrong, it's digital piracy that he's worried about. No, I don't think he's worried about the piracy because again, he didn't shut down he didn't go after 4chan or all the other things that were putting the books up. He only went after the critics, right, that were criticizing the book based on digital copies. He wasn't actually going after the websites that are hosting the digital copies. I think what he's worried about is people will be able to criticize it. It'll be cheaper. People will opt for the digital instead of the physical because he still wants to put the physical out, right? He's not just going all digital. And again, more people can see it and they'll criticize it. Because here's the thing. It makes it when you're Marvel, right? When you're Marvel or DC, it makes sense to worry about piracy Okay, because you're a huge company, and like people like me, like man, there's like 50 comics that I would get, but I can't afford that, so I'll get like 20, and then like the other 30, I'll just pirate digital, right? Just pirate that shit. But he's not putting out that many. He's got a loyal fan base, and when you're independent, when you're like small, like Rich, or me, or Wizard, right? Like let's say Wizard puts out a comic and it gets scanned and put on the internet. Someone might stop by one of those sites and go, "Oh, what's this? Wizard of Wordplay comic? Now let me check this out." Oh, this is actually pretty good. I should go find out who this guy is and see if he's got more comics. It has been
like that's.
Go ahead.
I was saying, like, that's what I do with Marvel, like, because I'll pirate Marvel, I'll pirate DC just because I gotta read them, and then if it's like, oh, this is really good, I'm gonna buy it, so I have a copy of it instead of like a pirated copy. I'm gonna buy it because I really like it and I want to be able to show people. And it's funny, my pirate comic will be free, so
yeah. Wilbur says, I can't wait to steal Wizard's comic. Yeah, a lot of people in the independent scene. Again, one of the struggles for an independent comic book creator is noticeability, right? People just noticing that it exists. It being pirated is going to bring more eyes and more attention. And if the comic is good, then people are going like, man, I want that. I didn't know this existed. Now that I know, oh, it's only $10. I'll go buy a copy, and I can't wait to the next one, right?
I don't know, bro.
I don't know, bro.
I'm not seeing any evidence that suggested yet. Does it get done? Yes. And then it ends up on a pirated site, and
there it
has
is.
1 million views. Who cares? I talked about this with the webcomics guys that have reached out to me, who are like, obviously they want to get in on Rippaverse, and I respect that, but they have like 1 million views on some webcomic, and but they're broke, so who cares?
There it is. Oh, see, they got 1 million views, but who cares? They didn't actually make no money. Yeah, but you can take that. Wasn't One Punch Man at one point a webcomic?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
And now it's a very successful franchise because people liked it, and the guy was able to turn that into something. That's what you do. Those people go, look, well, I have 1 million hits on my digital comic. Now I'm going to package this because it's good and people like it, and they're going to want the updated art, the better presentation, the physical book. He's basically just said that he's turning people away for his Rippaverse because they're broke.
Because if they have a digital copy, like there's web comics I read for free because it's like, like if you're putting it out for free, I'll read it, great. And especially because I'm making my own, it's like, oh, I can see how you do stuff. And they eventually, like going through the old posts, they're like, oh, here's this campaign for it, hardcover, really nice book, and you can buy it. And like it's on Amazon now or whatever, and like, but there's only so many copies, and then people buy it because they like it and they want to have the physical copy. Like that's it. Like physical always wins in that regard. If people like something, they want to have it in their hands.
If it's good, that's the problem. The Pirate Party in Europe commissioned a study on piracy and found that most people who pirate art are, quote, trying before you buy, then later purchase the product. Yeah. Again, I think it comes down to if you're confident in your art, right? If you're confident in your comic book, that people are going to buy it, or they're going to pirate it, they're going to like it, and then they're going to want to buy it, right? Like I know that my comic's going to be pirated, but I think it's good enough. I think people are going to like it. It's going to stand on its own. People are going to say, this is something I want to buy. I want more of this. Also,
I'd be lucky if my comic's pirated, because that just means someone cared enough to share it around.
Ding, 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 ding. July's. When there's no pirated version out, majority don't go out and buy it. Yeah, they just don't have. We are in an age now where like our dollars are, we account for every one of them. We're not just throwing it around on a maybe, right? We're like, oh, let me see if this is good. Oh, it's good. Okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah. Like, especially like his books where he was just starting out and how expensive they were. No one's gonna want to throw down $35 unless you're gonna.
Well, don't say no one, because a lot of people do.
I know, but I'm saying like you'd get less people that are like, I don't know about this. It's not selling me. Let me wait. Let me see. And then maybe you catch reviews, or well, here's the copy right away. how many people, if his books were good, how many people are going to be caught up in the universe, and then he's going to release some collected thing or something like, oh, well, I pirated Ice of 1, 2, and 3, but I like the story well enough. I'll buy his Illidai's omnibus or whatever, like that'll
Yeah.
happen.
I'm just being honest with you. Who cares? Sure, you got a lot of people that went and they cared enough to, I guess, go look at it, but they didn't care enough to go buy it. They didn't care enough to invest in you as a creator, and that's all.
Well, if
How do you-
all he
how do you
has
know?
is the web version and not an actual product to sell, that there's nothing to buy.
Or like, yeah,
Reality.
some of them have merch stores, like they have T-shirts and stuff, or they'll have Patreons where it's like, yeah, the thing's available for free, but pay for the Patreon, you can see the sketch, the the in progress sketching, or the
Or you get it
concept art, or
early
you
access.
get it early, stuff like that. Like people still want to give money to people they like. Like
Eric needs to get in with Vito on the magazine. 56K says digital are an easy way to get people to smoke crack quickly. You don't got to wait for shipment. Yeah, he doesn't want to make good books. He just wants to sell. Exactly. It's about squeezing, turning a profit, maximizing.
That a lot of guys need to learn as they're navigating the business.
Eric, these people don't have money. That's why they put the shit out there for free. Hopefully, people buy it and then or pirate it or check it out, and then, like you said, go to the merch store, Patreon. Right? When you're starting from zero, we're not all starting from Glenn Beck's $300,000. Right? We're not all starting from 15 years of YouTube and then having a 500,000 YouTube channel. Right? Some people are just normal people that then wander in and go, hey, you know what? I want to make a comic. I've been working a 9-to-5 for the last 20 years, but I really want to make a comic. Right? I just graduated high school. I'd really like to make a comic book. I got ideas. Not everybody has a YouTube channel or a big audience or are friends with Roddick and Jeremy Griggs. That's why it infuriates me so much. He acts like his situation is like everyone. Like, why isn't everyone just doing this, right? Just make a comic book. You should be able to make $3 million. Sturgis does that shit all the time.
The market is changed, and you can internet. You're more tapped with your purchasers and all that. It's like, yeah, but you still it spends money to make money, kind of thing. Like my comic being free, my pirate comic being free, is because I suspect it's not going to be good, and I would rather people know me for that before I release the one that I've been working really hard on for 4 years. So that way they at least know, like, oh, well, I read his pirate comics and they're really good. Now he's making one that I can actually just buy or something, like you got to start somewhere. You can't just throw them out wholesale because, well, you have a free book, so no one's going to pay for you. Your videos are free, Eric.
Yeah. No, he charges people because they got to watch the ads.
Element of it. Like, just having people view your shit isn't good enough. If you're going to be around, they have to care enough to buy it.
Again, Eric, you fell into this situation where people were buying your shit without knowing if it was good, and people are still buying your shit just to support you. It has nothing to do with your comic.
It's still in the cardboard.
That's what you need. They got to care enough to buy it, and it's digital sales is interesting. I think it just works in pockets, and you got to be smart with it. I'm sure there are folks that have made a little change off of that, but in my experience, from what I'm doing and what
your experience, you didn't even try it. You're like, from my experience, you have no experience. You've made no digital sales because you've made no attempt to sell anything digitally. You're just trying to milk your pay-pays. That's all you're trying to do.
Like, by his logic, all of his music should have been released on records and stuff.
Why did you put any music videos on YouTube? That's free. I can just steal it. I don't have to pay you for it.
On analyzing the data, it's just not a lot of money in it.
It's not a lot of money. Well, which is it, Eric? Is it not people are no money in it, or not a lot of money, or there's no sales? Just say it. Say, I can get more money from somebody paying $35 for a comic book than paying, because then I would have to put it for like $10 digitally, right? I don't want to lose out on that $25. We know it only costs you like $250 to have them produced, right? Stretch out that run. So if you have, let me see, how much do you think he pays for art?
Paying Glass House and the artists, or
Yeah, for the book. Let's say, let's go crazy. Let's say he goes $100,000 for the interiors on his book, right?
But Rich wasn't here because he would have an actual idea how much artists cost. I'd be like, what?
Yeah, but I'm gonna go insane. I'm gonna go insane on this, right? So it's $100,000 on interior art. Let's say he pays another $50,000 for cover art. Right? And let's say inking and lettering is another $50,000, right? And we'll even say, for the sake of argument, $50,000 on that other shit, editors and everything, right?
Yeah.
That's $250,000. How many copies did he sell of Isom?
62,670.
Total?
What he put in the chat.
62,670. Okay. So if we take $250,000 divided by 62,670, okay, that means he paid 3.98, so about $4 each issue to make, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sold all of those for $35 or more, because some of them was $100.
The lowest he ever went was $5.
And those were like ridiculous. That's why he doesn't want to go digital, because he's probably spending, like $3, and add in the $250 for the printing and everything, right? So he's probably paying like $5 total for each comic. So if he goes digital, that's like 10 or 15. So he's only making like a $10 spread. He can't put a $100 specialty cover, right? You can't do the specialty covers digital. You can't do like 4 different covers digital. I mean, you could, but I don't think
not as
people are going to buy.
He'd be selling more posters and stuff.
You can't do the CGC stuff, right? You can't do digital CGC.
Yeah,
that's why he doesn't want to go. Just say that. Be like, look, I'm missing out on so many different opportunities to milk you, right? And again, you can go $35 for a physical, and people go, "Oh, that makes sense. It's 100 pages, right?" Now, go for 100 digital pages. You're like, no, I'm still only going to pay like $10, like, because it's digital. You're not printing anything out, right?
Now, it could enhance you, right? If you are one of those that I'll give a fuck, I'm not trying to make money off of comics. So people pirate it, people do whatever. Who cares? Who gives a fuck?
I'm not trying to make money off of comics. Everyone says
upset.
that.
He's mad at people who do that.
He's mad at people that just want to make art. How dare you want to make art?
If you're one of those guys, then that's different.
I don't think there's any of those guys. I think everybody wants to make money in comics. I don't think everybody has the ability to make money in comics. I don't think everybody has the access to the marketplace or the crowd or the pay pigs, right? Not everybody has the money to produce a comic that's worth making money off of, or that people would be willing to buy, right? Like, again, I can draw my own comic. It'll be such shit that, I have to give it away for free because no one's going to want to buy it. Shifter's right. You could go digital and black and white, right? And then be like color. If you want the color version, that's a physical copy. That is a good point. See, we're all smarter than there.
There's ways around it. Like, I get why he's concerned, but at the same time, like, it's just like, I think it outweighs it. Basically, you'll get more for less.
I know exactly why he's concerned. He didn't need, like, again, this is just the difference between being transparent and honest versus hibbity jibbity score wars. Be like, I make more profit physically than I would digitally. And here's why, right? Again,
I know
you can't do multiple covers.
Yeah, EVS was on your stream talking about before, like that he won't do digitals. Like, I can't. Like, the idea that someone pirates it like that and it's out there is like, it's too much for him. He will not do it.
Yeah.
So it's
like, but again, you can't do 4 covers, right? Because I would buy 4 physical covers, but I'm not going to buy 4 digital covers because you can't show off a digital cover, right? You can't be like, oh,
Yeah.
look at my computer, that digital cover. Like, look, I got all 4 of them. Like you
NFTs, Eric, solve the problem for you.
So you can't do that. You can't do $100, Shane Davis cover. You can't. No one's. You can't do that. Like, this is a Bart Sears cover, right? All that specialty shit where you inflate the price because you paid extra and you got this fancy cover from somebody with a name. Can't do that. So that's one area of profit gone. You can't do CGC graded. So that's second area of profit gone, right? And then, like you said, you can't charge the same amount. You can't charge $35. No one's buying a $35 digital version, right? Because then people would pirate it. If it's too much, then people are like, no, it's not worth it. So you have to lower the price. And Eric July, it's like $10. That gives me $5 profit per book, or $35, which gives me like $30 profit per book. Wonder which one I'm going to pick. Just say that. Be like, I get more profit. There's better margins on physical.
Because then you're like, well, I'm using this as a loss leader, so who cares? I'm using this as a loss leader, and then I'm going to put it out, and people are going to buy merchandise. It's going to help me get a TV deal worth $600 million.
See, he keeps saying loss leader, and he keeps saying you'll lose money. Just say it, Eric. You can't afford it. Say, I cannot afford to put out a digital because my margins, I've spent way too much money on all this other shit and the warehouse and the employees and the trailers and all this shit. I can't afford it. Just say that. I think he's right there. I think he's barely hanging on, right? You could be in debt. You could slip down into the red for so long, and the banks will let you go, and you can slide, and you can, hibbity jibby squirrel words your payments, right?
Like, yeah, when you that level, okay, maybe it makes sense. But at the independent level, who depends on his art, who depends on his or her creativity in order to make the money, investing in that element, there's nothing that suggests that there's a lot of it's worth investing in.
Like,
again, it is worth it. If Eric July actually drew, right? If Eric July was a artist with his following, again, if he could competently put out a book every 2 weeks, right? Again, he don't have to do 100 pages. You can go 32 pages every 2 weeks, right? If he could put that out, he could be making $20,000-$30,000 every 2 weeks. What do we got? We got 52 weeks in a year, so it's 26 weeks times 30,000. He would make $780,000 a year on comic books digitally. I can guarantee you. He'd make almost $1 million. And that's not including, like you said, all the other shit, right? They're going to buy T-shirts. They're going to buy posters. They're going to take that money on the other stuff.
Like, that would probably, for the cost to just do that for nothing, like to put that out for nothing, it would be his like operating budget probably.
Who says I do it this way to make more money off of you? No one, but you don't phrase it like that. You phrase it like I said. You say I cannot afford the margins on a digital version, right? I have too many employees that I cannot afford. It's not economically feasible for me to put out a digital version. We'll all know what it means, but that's the truth. Just don't say it. Just be like, no. Like, no one forced Eric July to go on a 6-minute rant about why he can't do digital. Like, hey, is there ever a digital? He's like, we're thinking about it. Boom. 30 seconds. We're done. We're out. Right?
Yeah, that's why, like, this is just the squirrel words video, because it's just like no. Like, it's all I gotta say. Or thinking about it, or looked at it, probably not. But it's just all like, well, you see video games and loss leader and squirrel word.
It's like, ask me if I'm putting out a hardcover version.
Are you putting out a hardcover version of your book?
No, we didn't even consider that. That's it. End of conversation. No, we didn't even consider that. Eric July, you put on a digital version? No, we never even considered that. No, but we'll look into that. If there's enough demand for it, and then that's it. Then you just walk away.
Maybe
you don't
maybe
have to
when we have more books.
Yeah. You know, we're thinking about doing it next year when we get more books, when they start coming out more regularly, when we have more product. That way, it'll be worth it for you guys, right?
Not yet. And if that changes, yeah, I mean, obviously, as a business owner, you adjust according to the market. But as of today, there's not a lot of data that suggests that folks that are in my position, especially, should be dedicating so many resources to digital comics.
What's so? You keep saying all these like resources, Eric.
Yeah,
it's
like
a PDF file.
Yeah, like how much does it cost?
Nothing.
Like he's already made.
Literally the file that he sends to the printer is like the exact same file.
Yeah,
right?
like it's done. The work's done. Just put it out there. It's like, here you go. You know, even if it's like on Amazon Kindle or something.
Yeah.
Like something that people don't actually get a PDF for.
That's just from what I picked up. If it changes, it changes. This is not there yet.
This is my way of saying I don't got digital comics, and so I don't think there's money in it.
And again, he literally was like, "There's not a lot of profit." That's him saying that he makes more money off of physical. So just say it at that point, right? Just say it like, "Yeah, we make more money off the fucking physical."
I'm pretty sure those music videos didn't move the needle either, but you still spent money on those so you and your old guy friends can pretend that you're cool.
Yeah, Chris Bacon says he dedicated how much to content that generates nothing. Yeah, those trailers, the animated trailer, the live action, and they didn't move the needle. Because man, he went in reverse. It didn't get back to the 40,000, right? His warehouse, all those copies. Look, he's making. He should be making again. I don't even know what his overhead and all the employees he has. Again, no warehouse. That's a huge payment that you wouldn't have to go. And see, Eric is in a unique position. This is why I'm saying this, right? Because unlike me, if I go digital, what am I gonna sell? A couple hundred copies, right? Rich said he made like $300 digital.
400.
Right? $400 digital. We're small. We're small potatoes scraping by. Again, he has a dedicated fan base, right? So if you go like, again, if you just say it's $25,000 to make the comic, sell that shit for $10 digital, he only has to sell 2,500 to break even, right? He's selling like he sold 40,000 on the first.
And
There's probably a lot of
Rippa fans like to double dip. So how many would buy a digital copy, a physical copy, a special copy, you know, and a shirt? You know,
well, there's a lot of Rippa fans that checked out because they're too expensive, like for what they're getting. But again, you had 100 pages, right? The first ISOM was like 100. You can get like 3 or 4 comics out of that. So again, you're for what you spent, the 25,000 that you spent on that first issue. You're divide that with $10 each. Say you get 4 comics out of that. So again, now you only have to sell 625 comics to break even. He would blow past that. He would have 10,000 of each one. And again, if they were good, then he would like sell even more comics, right? He's in a unique position where he could actually go all digital, make a large profit, and set the trend for that sector, right? Like, boom, I'm a digital company. Because again, no employees, no insurance, no warehouse, no forklifts, no paper, no overstock, no extras, no comic book for kids,
no legal fees.
Yeah, legal fees, and security at the warehouse. Stimulate says you need good comics first. That's the problem. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, if his books were flying off the shelves, he would have digital something. He's trying to bottleneck his purchasers.
crazy. It's crazy. All right, let me see if I can get something up real quick.